Tom Frew arrived in Newhall in 1900. Tom Frew moved away in 2003. Tom Frew was a pretty well-known name in these parts for more than 100 years. Truth be told, Tom Frew was actually 3 different people. I'm Leon Warden, and this is Legacy, Santa Clarita's Living History, brought to you by the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society, the SCV School Business Alliance, and Comcast. As you might have guessed, our guest tonight is Tom Frew. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leon.
Now, which Tom Frew are you?
I'm the 4th.
You're the 4th. Okay, so our story really begins then with the 2nd Tom Frew.
That's correct.
Your grandfather, who
That's
came
right.
to Newhall a little over 100 years ago. So there was a Tom Frew the first then, I guess.
Yes, great-grandfather who never left Scotland.
And is there a Tom Frew the 5th?
There sure is.
Okay. How many children do you have?
Just 2.
Just 2.
Eric and Tom.
Eric and Tom.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the legacy continues now that you're moving away from the Santa Clarita Valley, and so for the first time in more than 100 years, there's going to be no Tom Frew in town?
That is correct.
And you recently received the key to the city from the Santa Clarita City
Quite
Council.
a surprise, absolutely.
I guess that was in recognition of your service to the Newhall Redevelopment Committee, the Historical Society, and well, you've made a little bit of, you've cut your own path in Santa Clarita.
Well,
you broke away from the family business eventually.
That's correct.
Which was what? Tell me about that.
Welding and blacksmithing at the time that I started working in the shop after I was out of the service.
Mm-hmm.
And the need for a blacksmith wasn't great like it used to be, so it seemed logical, and I was never a blacksmith to begin with, for me to do something different.
You had taken over the family business, what, under protest or what?
Definitely under protest. My dad...
What was your interest?
My interest was somewhere in the movie field.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a degree in cinema.
Okay.
My dad, when he came out of the service, the same thing happened to him that happened to me. His father said, "My health is failing and I need somebody to take over the shop."
Mm-hmm.
That's the same way I got conned. And I said, "I absolutely insist on selling this so my boys are not obligated like 2 previous were obligated."
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take this tale in somewhat chronological order and go back to the Tom Frew who actually wanted to be a blacksmith.
Yes.
Tell me about his arrival in the valley.
He arrived actually in the Antelope Valley. He first immigrated to Wisconsin and then came out to the Antelope Valley because you could homestead property,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to own some property.
Okay.
They actually had 3 separate homesteads that they lost each one of them, and my grandmother claimed it was because the rabbits ate the trees that they planted faster than they could plant them, and the wind blew.
Now, a homestead was a 160-acre parcel,
Yes,
right?
160 acres,
Mm-hmm.
right. And in order to qualify for it, you had to do so many improvements each year.
Mm-hmm.
And grandfather was off doing blacksmithing work
Mm-hmm.
at the various mines, traveling, and grandmother had the home to take care of, the homestead to try to prove up on,
Mm-hmm.
and the children. So
Right.
it was a little too much for her.
And you had to grow crops. Is that right?
I'm not sure what they had to do. I know they had to. The first few years, basically, it was planting, permanent, trees and
Mm-hmm.
things that would enhance the property.
But growing things, plants, kind of stayed with you. That's what you do now.
That's right.
But okay, let's go back.
Okay. Grandmother couldn't handle the wind any longer, and she said, "I've had it with this place, and we keep reading about Long Beach and Santa Monica and how wonderful it is." Their chambers evidently were really pushing, and so they decided to leave. They started down through Bouquet Canyon in a wagon with the children and with all their possessions.
How many kids did they have?
At that point, they had 3.
Okay.
And they came down through the canyon, and they were going to camp. There used to be a campground kind of across the street where the Metrolink parking lot is now.
Which Metrolink?
The Newhall Metrolink, Jan Height Metrolink. There were a bunch of trees there, and people traveling through could stop and camp there.
Okay.
Well, they sent the children over to the store to get something, and the man recognized them as strangers in town and talked to them.
Probably not hard to do, you know,
No.
who everybody is, and there's what, 4 people living here at the time.
And they said, what does your dad do? And they said, oh, he's a blacksmith. And the man said, tell him to come over, I want to talk to him. So he went to the general store, and Campwell's, or what was the name of the general store? Well, anyway.
Okay, move on.
He went
Campton, you mean?
Campton, thank you. I knew it was something like that.
Still there in 1900, huh?
Uh-huh. Well, anyway, they went over to the store, and the man said, our blacksmith died. We need somebody to take over blacksmithing because there's a big need for it. And he said, there's the shop, the lot next to it, and the house on the corner. This would be at the corner of Market and San Fernando Road now. And my grandfather asked him how much it was, and he said $225.
I think Gully was the storekeeper at that time.
Yes,
right?
it was Gully.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, he said, well, I couldn't afford that. All I've got is $25. And the man said, that's okay. Take it over. Pay me whenever you can. And that's how he ended up with the...
Newhall needed a blacksmith.
that's how he...
One road into town.
And one road out of town, right?
And one road out, another one road out of town, yeah. So, Tom Frew III, your father, was one of those kids at that time? He was already born. Okay. And where
he
was he?
He was at that time a 4-year-old, and he had a brother that was a 6-year-old, Jim.
Now, your grandfather was active in the community, as was your father. They were on school boards and that sort of thing, weren't they?
In committees, and yes. Newhall Improvement Committee way back in the dark ages.
Yeah, I think 1920s they were trying to fix up Newhall, and I guess the goal then was to fix it up and bring in people.
That's right.
To live here.
Yeah, and that's why they moved the main street eventually moved the main street from Railroad Avenue over to San Fernando Road, or Spruce Street, as it was called then.
Now, you know, you brought a photo with you of a blacksmith shop. Now, this is 1888, and it would have been, would this be the same one that your grandfather took over?
I don't think so. Because I think this house in the background looks like the house that's that they moved into over on the corner of Market and Spruce.
But then you were saying earlier you thought maybe this one burned down, and then because I mean that happened often back then.
At the blacksmith shop, they kept a ladder against the side wall of the blacksmith shop and a bucket of water, because every day they had a fire on the roof, and they'd go up with a bucket of water and put it out and fill the bucket again and ready for the next one.
How did the methods change over the years of blacksmithing?
A lot of the work primarily was horseshoeing and putting tires on wagons like we have in this picture. They retire them with a metal tire.
Right.
Plus, it was always a sharpening of picks and mattocks and things, you know, for the construction people to use. And later, of course, when welding came in, they had, just to begin with, just oxyacetylene welding, and then it gradually went into electric welding, and gradually went into a machine shop, and it kept changing over the years.
Now, of course, it was a wooden building like similar to this that was the original Tom Frew blacksmith shop in 1900.
Yes.
And that went through some changes. It was rebuilt in what, 1930s?
1935.
Now, was it still your grandfather who was running it then?
No.
Okay.
It was my dad that at that time.
When did he take over the family business?
Actually, right after he got out of the service in 1918.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd been there, what, 17, 18 years before they rebuilt.
Yeah.
And the new building was corrugated metal so that there were no fires on the roof, and a cement floor and not a wooden floor, because when they used to sharpen plowshares and picks and things, where do you put them when they're hot? You know, they lay them on the floor, and first thing you know, you've got a little blaze. So.
I know that you recently invited Phil Scorza, from who viewers are familiar with from the show Points of Interest, out to your home and showed him around your home, and I think some of the things that were fabricated at the blacksmith shop over the years. So let's take a look at that now.
Okay.
I'm here with Tom Frew in the Happy Valley section of Newhall and Tom's home. Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the ironwork we see here?
Oh, I'll do that. This chair was a chair that my father made and sat on the front porch for as long as I can remember. It was built somewhere in the mid-20s. The sunburst here is something that I built, and it was all from scrap from a job for which the customer never paid, so it came at a pretty high price, but at least I saved the pieces. Behind me here is a candelabra that's made out of handmade blacksmith tongs. My grandfather made these tongs. They would make a tong for each type of job they were getting ready to do, and so I took just handmade ones and turned them into a candelabra.
So no metal goes to waste in a blacksmith shop.
Never.
How about if we go take a look at the rest of your house?
Sure.
All right, so here we are in the photo gallery, correct?
That's right. All the old family photos that I could gather.
I see up there we have some calendars that the blacksmith shop used to give away, and some photos of the original blacksmith shop, as well as the new improved blacksmith shop. And this oil painting above us here, this is something that one of your employees did, you say?
Wife of one of the employees painted this for my dad.
And that's what it looked like when your grandfather bought the property.
That's correct.
Right.
Except for the oxygen tanks, the green oxygen tanks. That
okay.
was the later addition to welding.
Right. And right here we have, let's see if I'm correct now, this is Tom Frew II, Tom Frew III, Tom Frew III, Tom Frew IV, and one of these boys is Tom Frew V. The taller of them.
Uh-huh.
So we have the whole rogues gallery here then.
That's right.
We're out here in the backyard. Tell me about this anvil.
This anvil was one that my grandfather brought to Newhall in 1900 when they came down through Bouquet Canyon from Del Sur out in the Antelope Valley. It weighs a couple 100 pounds.
You had this in the wagon, the horse and buggy?
They hauled it down in the horse and buggy with the wagon. Yes, that's correct.
And now how do you use an anvil?
An anvil is used, you heat up the piece of iron and lay it over the top and bend it or shape it round or whatever, or you can use the hardy to cut off hot metal.
Okay. Okay. And what is that you have over there?
This, I'm told, was the original branding iron of Newhall land. They brought in this branding iron and said, we need to have a new one made, and this is what we want, the new symbol. Okay. So my dad said, if you'd like, I'll trade you your old original branding iron and give you the new one. So that's what they did.
Okay. Just so we're clear on how it works, let's try this out here.
Well,
okay. How do you use it?
It's heated first.
Real hot?
Real hot in a fire, and then it's applied to the animal. It burns the hair and it leaves a scar on the and the animal's back where the burn occurred.
Very good. Excellent. That animal's yours forever then.
That's right.
That's it. Well, what do you say you and I head over to the blacksmith shop?
Fine, let's go.
Okay. All right, we're here on San Fernando Road across the street from Newhall Hardware, Tracy Era Supermarket. What is this building behind us, Tom?
The building behind us is the blacksmith shop building that was built in 1936. Okay. The front looks the same. The configuration of the roof line is the same. The back looks almost exactly the same as it did when we had it.
Okay. All right. And you sold it when?
In 1970.
1970. Okay, so it's been out of the family now for about 32 years.
That's right.
Right. But at one time, I think you told me your grandparents bought the entire property from here to the corner, and that's where their house was, right?
That's correct.
On
The
quiet little
entire
San Fernando
property
Road.
For $225.
Oh, is that right? $225. Well, you're not going to get
Including
that today.
The blacksmith shop and the tools.
Oh, really? Well, listen, it's been really great you taking us around and showing this. I'd like to thank you for the
You're
opportunity.
very welcome. Thank you for asking me.
For Legacy, this is Philip Scorza.
Well, San Fernando Road has seen a few changes over the years. Now, when exactly did you come along anyway?
Well, I don't like to discuss that. However, it was
Tell me anyway.
Thanksgiving Day 1929.
Thanksgiving Day 1929. So that would put you at about 9 years old on Valentine's Day 1939.
Yes, it did.
Which was a day that probably kind of stands out in your memory because I believe there's a photo of you from the Los Angeles Times. Tell me about that photo. What does it show?
The next morning, the fire was at night, and the next morning...
You're talking about the Newhall Elementary
Newhall
School
Elementary
burning down,
School
where you
burning
were a
down,
student.
yes.
Okay.
Parents said, why don't you walk down and take a look at the school? So we walked down to look at the school, and of course, most of us had taken our Valentines the day before and put them in the Valentine's box, which all burned up. Mm-hmm. And we got down there, and there was a photographer, and he said he rounded up 6 or 8 of whatever it was of us and had us stand in a line and said, okay, now jump up in the air. Throw your hands up in the air. And the headline was, "Students cheer as school burns." And of course, my dad was on the school board. One of the ones that happened to be jumping up and down was Gus Trueblood. Mm-hmm.
Son of the editor of the Signal.
Son of the editor of the Signal, mm-hmm. and several others, and we all were reprimanded very seriously after that. But you know, kids, there weren't that many photographers around, you know, and they, mm-hmm. you know, if you have your picture taken, that was really something.
I guess there was a little bit of frustration at the photographer for setting. Was it really a setup by the photographer, or was it?
No, it was definitely a setup by the photographer.
Okay. Because I've heard these stories about little Tommy Frew, you know, standing and, yay, the school burned down. So, okay, just to set the record straight here.
Yes.
There you go, you heard it here.
They definitely set us up.
Tell me a little bit about your school days. Now, that was 1939. They rebuilt the school. Where were classes held after that? Immediately after that?
Right after that? Mm-hmm. Everywhere. There was a little wooden structure down near where the cafeteria was, and mm-hmm. it was, I think they called it the Girl Scout hut. Mm-hmm. Well, they had classes in there, mm-hmm. and we only went to school a half a day. We had classes in the old field house that had the fireplace in it, which is down on the, what would it be, the northwest corner of the school grounds. Mm-hmm. There were some of the classrooms that were left. I think it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade classes were left, mm-hmm. and under one of those classes was a fairly large basement that they had their wood shop.
Really?
And they used that as a classroom. Mm-hmm. I mean, they crowded you everywhere, yeah. everywhere they possibly could. And the cafeteria, which was completely removed from the main building. Mm-hmm. They had classes in the cafeteria.
And then I guess it was a works project administration job that built the auditorium after that.
That's correct.
There, of course, was no high school at the time, and a lot of Newhall kids only went through the 8th grade. Did you go beyond the 8th grade?
In San Fernando High, yes, sir.
Well, I guess if you have a degree in cinema, you probably went beyond the 8th grade, right? How'd you get to San Fernando High School? On
the school bus. We met the school bus at the corner of Lyons and San Fernando Road, or mm-hmm. Spruce, next to the old Lloyd's Cafe. Mm-hmm. And it took 1 hour to drive to San Fernando High School on the bus, because we stopped at every corner, it seemed to me, like all the way to San Fernando. Mm-hmm. And they also picked up the students from, well, the walks from the other side of the hill. Mm-hmm. They picked up Sylmar, Sunshine Ranch, Sylmar, and all the way down Foothill. So it was a long route. And we arrived 10 minutes before class started, and we left 10 minutes after the last class was over. So it cut out all school activities.
What kind of extracurricular activities did you have?
There, practically nothing. A couple times, I was in several plays during the years at San Fernando High, and those few occasions that we had to stay over, we hitchhiked home. You didn't tell your parents how you got home. Somebody brought me.
Yeah. Now, you know, you were recently Grand Marshal of the 4th of July Parade, but you were in 4th of July parades back in the 40s and 50s and
Much earlier.
and probably earlier than that. What were those old parades like? Tell me about them.
Well, the parades were very, very local then. There were none of these units brought in from out of, you know, these out of town, like the cart before the horse and those things. It was very, very, just all the service organizations had floats in the parade. My first venture in the parade was 1932. Yeah, 1932.
2 or 3 years old? Or?
Yeah, standing on the Eastern Star float. And that was the year that my dad was Grand Marshal of the parade.
And he made some replicas of the blacksmith shop and drove them as floats in the parade.
That was many years later, yes.
Was it?
The first one was, I believe, when we built the replica of the blacksmith shop, was our 50th anniversary, so it would have been 1950.
1950.
And then we had floats quite often after that. Until we'd won every prize that was possible and said, well, is that all there is?
And I guess people from all the canyons around would come out to the 4th of July. You had more than just the parade, though, on the 4th. What
Parade, they had the barbecue out at, well, the barbecue many years was at Newhall School Grounds. And they had baseball games and that type of thing in the afternoon. And then they moved out to Saxonia Park. I guess that was so they could serve beer.
Now that's in Placerita Canyon, right?
Yeah, on Quigley Canyon Road. And it was out there for any number of years. And the Lions Club catered or did the barbecuing.
Right.
No, it changed over the years completely. As I say, we didn't have any street vendors. Ones that come in town who have no license, and the town gets nothing except to clean up the mess that they leave.
Well, you've seen, you know, a bit of population change. I guess there were probably about, what, 4,000 or 5,000 people when you first arrived, maybe?
Well,
in town?
I don't remember then, but I remember there was a sign that said Newhall population 2,200, and that was down just before you crossed the railroad track on San Fernando Road. But that would have been just Newhall.
And there wasn't a whole lot more in Saugus.
No, even less.
Or didn't just probably, you know,
I think
you could count the number of families in Castaic and Acton.
I think my aunt mentioned the fact that they decided to the school would take a census. And they got people from the various areas to, you know, it was just an unofficial thing. And I think she said the entire area was 500. That's not very many compared to our 180, whatever it is now, 185 or
yeah, it's about 200,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that your dad served on, I guess it would have been the Newhall School Board. Did you serve on a school board?
Yes.
I thought
yeah,
you did.
I was on.
What? When? I can't remember.
Oh boy, let's see. The boys were in the kindergarten and first grade, so.
Was it the Newhall School District?
Newhall School District, yes. And being on the school board, you know, they expected you to attend all the schools' open houses, and at that time there were there were only 2 schools then, but all the teachers were hurt if you didn't come to their classroom to see what wonderful things they had done. So my kids got shortchanged with a visit with their teacher in order to go to all the classes.
Yeah. Now you eventually in 1970 you sold the family business.
That's
I
correct.
guess, Valencia was now under construction, and there probably wasn't too much of a need for horseshoeing anymore.
No, that's correct.
Tell me a little bit about San Fernando Road and how you got involved with the idea of redevelopment, and what you'd like to see happen in Newhall as you're going away.
Well,
now.
I look at Old Town Camarillo now, since I live there, and that's what I envision our street looking like one day. Specialty shops, restaurants, very few service industries. There is one hardware store, and we have one hardware store. But
There are a few service industries on the main street in Camarillo, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Because, of course, today downtown Newhall, most of the services are concentrated in Newhall.
that's right. That's right. No, the town basically is across the freeway now from the old town. But and they're in the process of putting several new overpasses over the freeway, and
Yeah.
which will, I think, ruin it. But
Now, you've been president of the Historical Society, so obviously you've got a keen interest in hanging on to some of the pieces of our past, and
Absolutely.
we're trying to get going with rebuilding a replica of the blacksmith shop over at Heritage Junction, which would then be a place where kids can learn how the old trades were done. And are we going to be seeing you continue to be involved in that kind of thing?
oh, undoubtedly, it's pretty hard to live in a community for 73 years and suddenly vanish. Too hard. But
Well, we're not going to let you anyway. I mean, we're going to need you to continue to be involved both with fixing up Newhall and with rebuilding that blacksmith shop.
well, I have all those tools that are being stored now that will go into the
All
blacksmith
that
shop.
everything that you so graciously donated to the Historical Society. And we got to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for joining us. Yes, our time is already up. Told you it would
That
go by
fast?
quickly. That fast, yeah. So thank you for joining us, and for answers to all your SCV history questions, visit scvhistory.com on the internet or stop by the Saugus train station in downtown Newhall weekends 1 to 4. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Legacy, Santa Clarita's Living History. I'm Leon Warden. Good night.